Okay, here's what we're doing here today. Uh, Starting a new thing. Uh, I can't remember who to credit with it, but essentially, uh, listen to a podcast and she's behind the Learn Out Loud group, and I think it's a good practice to kind of recap once a week. This is what my goal is to say, okay, this is what I did this week, just so I can be like, yeah, I feel motivated. Um, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Um, Being that this is the first time, what I'm going to do is just kind of go over quickly where I'm at with this. This project, the goal is I set some goals for the year of what I want to do for my triathlon stuff that I do, and just kind of like basic, here's the total distance, here's the total elevation gain I want to do, and just see if I can make that happen. And really, it's a way to try to motivate myself on the weeks that it just sucks. So we're just, I'm going to take 2 minutes, a few minutes, and just power through what I've done so far. Uh, Most of this has been non-AI coded because that's not the point. I have recently realized that my enthusiasm for this project is kind of waning and I need a jump start. So what I've been doing is kind of offloading the stuff that I'm already really good at and know how to do. So the HTML and CSS, let AI go wild. Um, there's a, the, and we're going to jump in the project. Project is Go backend, HTMX front end, pretty just dead simple. Want to learn at what it is. Uh, I have not built anything in Go before, so that's been a huge learning process, which has been fun. Uh, Here's kind of the way the project works. I've built it using Valkey and Air. Um, well, Air is the okay. So Air is the build tool that compiles the Go and then runs it. And uh, I could be totally lying, but that's what I understand what it does. It gives you a bunch of settings that you can do to kind of help make the dev environment a lot better. Valkey's just key storage. That's how we bootstrapped our auth. That runs in a Docker container. Learned a lot about Docker because I've used it, but only in a copy paste kind of. Here's what I need to do for work. Copy paste done, and somebody else had set it up. So that actually was really helpful. Um, yeah. So other things, we've got our templates. Those are all HTML templates. All the code so far just lives in this main.go. Oh, and then the one other thing, we're using SQLite as the main database. It's pretty minimal, and I assume that I can run that even when I put this in production for me, myself, and I to use. The ultimate goal is to host this, and it'll be the first thing I'll be hosting on my little mini server I've got, so I can access it at any time. Yeah, so here's really quickly the way the code's all set up. Obviously, we got our imports. I learned that I'm trying to mirror everything the way Strava does. So all of the uh, Strava just stores everything in meters, and that makes so I just have to whenever I do anything in Imperial, I need to convert it over. So that's the first part. Uh, then we've got all these user. It doesn't matter. We've got some definitions of stuff. These are all the structs. Um, the way that the project's built is you have there's going to be so there's a user, and basically we just pull in the user straight from Strava, and then that user has activities and goals, and we're going to mash the goals and activities together, create a dashboard. So that's really it. It's like a two-page site with an auth. Auth was super fun. Uh, really was good to see how kind of that bounce back of OAuth works. Then we've got these templates, these init functions. Okay, so this function allows us to pull in those HTML templates. Then you've got the logger or the init functions. This is everything it takes to get the program running. So I've already built the logger. That's going to be more helpful in production. When we run into issues, I'll be able to see them and debug. Then you've got Valkey, which really again is only for auth, and that's just to handle the session management, so that you don't have to go to Strava every 2 seconds. This sets up the database and creates all the tables. Then oh yeah, this one pulls in all of our environment variables, which so I don't leak things. That'd be really bad. This updates our so this is how we create users. Nice. All these stuff is like the different database logic and how we update and sync the activities and the goals, which I haven't written out yet. You can see there's some functions that still need tons of love. Okay, so I wanted to make this function exists because I wanted to make the app kind of scalable. So if I wanted to add new things, new sports, right now we only are going to support running, biking, and swimming because that's what I'm interested in. But if anybody ever started using this and wanted to, I don't know, track skiing, then that would be one to pay attention to. We should bring its own whole another thing in there. This function allows us to pull in the goals, and that's used when we build templates. And you got, oh yeah, this was fun. This is the middleware. So one of the things I really wanted to do was be able to, have private pages and public pages. That's what this function does. It forces someone to be logged in before they can actually access the app. And we get into like the Strava specific stuff. Strava gives you a refresh token. So if someone's logged in on my end and I'm totally like, hey, dude, you're good, but they get logged out or their session expires, when they go to load a page, we fire off an event, or we fire a query to Strava and say, hey, here's their refresh, give me a brand new token. They send back the token, and off we go, and we can pull more data. That's going to be, it only matters when we're making requests to Strava. So hopefully this actually doesn't get used that often. And once we set up, once I set up the web hooks, it should sync automatically. That'll be cool. Then we've got anytime, so I set it up so it's just a wrapper function so that you can just make a generic GET request to Strava and it'll format it exactly how you need. You just need to basically give it the URL of the GET request. And we don't do any posting because it's just purely like a read-only, fetch the data, parse the data kind of thing. This function here is cool because it basically goes and grabs all of the function. It goes and grabs all of the activities from since the last activity that we synced, which is cool. And then I have it defaulting to the first of this year, but I think I'm gonna kick that back a couple of years because data is fun. And I'm a nerd. What else we got? Got to be almost there. This is, there's some fun logic in here. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. So, well, maybe I don't do it this way anymore. There was a point where I was having to parse out before I realized that the athlete object just passes down their measurement unit. I was um, I was trying to use their events to guess at what their measurement unit was. But now that we just pull it straight from the athlete, it actually is a lot simpler. It was kind of funny, but um, anyway, uh, then now we get into the handlers, and handler basically is just it it's kind of the endpoint that the front end asks for when it says, hey, this is the page I want to load. Give me all the stuff, or just give me give me what I need. Um, and so this is our user dashboard. Right now, it doesn't really do much. It just has a little refresh function and some reactivity, some HTMX reactivity on that template. Then we get into the HTMX stuff. I'm still so new to HTMX, so all I know, like, it's starting to make sense to me now that I've actually like played with it. It's like you say, okay, here's the element, here's what you can do with it when it fetches the data, replace it with whatever it sends down. That's what this one's doing. Is when you sync, it either fails and it gives you, hey, wasn't able to get you something, or it succeeds and then it's like, hey, yeah, we did it. Here's how many activities we're synced. I cannot demo any of this because it does not work on this machine. I've been building it on my silly little Surface Go that runs Linux. Um, and then we've got to the main function where we run all the inits, set up all the handlers, and yeah, start the server. So that's it. That's what I've done so far. It's been 2 months in the making. Specifically today, I was working on well, in this week, what we did was we got all the templates moved out of this file and into their own files to clean up. And that I just kind of leaned on AI to be like, screw it, I don't care. It's not the funnest activity ever. And then we also I moved it from the templates having to encapsulate all the logic to breaking it out. So there's a header, there's a nav. Actually looks a lot nicer now. And I let it just go ham on the CSS, and so it actually looks like a website instead of just the brutalist, nasty, awful site that's all jank. So that's nice. And then I started on the goal form. That's been the next hurdle is the goals. I need to get it so this is something I've never done in H or Go before. Is just here's the form coming up. Well, maybe that's not true, but it's more complicated this time because we're trying to take in kind of an arbitrary number of goals that have been set, parse those, figure out are they new goals that are being created or old goals that are being updated. Because I kind of want to have just kind of like a table and say here's all your goals, um, and they have arbitrary end dates, and so it's kind of got to figure that out. But yeah, so that's the next step. Um, Hopefully by this time next week, I will have the goals stuff all fixed and working, and I can start working on the dashboards because that's really the only things that are left before this really is done. Um, there's some like edge case niceties that would be nice to have, but yeah, so that's where we're at. Good stuff. Almost there. And then the next step will be fun because after this, I'm going to try to speed run some learning stuff that I think will be a good change of pace. This has been a harder project for me just because when the next step is kind of like you're architecting the thing, it's a lot easier to lose focus and kind of get stuck on side things. So and I think that's going to be one of the things I need to do if I'm going to hit all my goals this year, is really stay focused and kind of cut out these side quests. They're fun, but I need to not to. That's it. Good night.